The sound of laughter echoed through the busy diner that Saturday afternoon, high-pitched, careless laughter that made a few heads turn. But it wasn't the good kind. It was sharp, mocking, and cruel. Near the window, an elderly couple sat quietly at a corner table, their hands touching, their smiles small but warm. They had ordered just one slice of pie and 2 coffees, because that's all they could afford. Across the room, a group of teenagers whispered and snickered. One of them picked up a bottle of Coca-Cola, shook it hard, and with a grin that spoke of arrogance rather than humor, hurled it toward the couple. The bottle burst open, the cold soda splashing across the old man's shirt and dripping from his wife's trembling hands. The diner fell silent for a second, then erupted again in laughter, from the kids, not the bystanders. Some people looked away, uncomfortable. No one intervened. The elderly man didn't yell. He didn't curse. He simply stood, dabbed at his soaked jacket with a napkin, and whispered something soft to his wife. "It's okay, sweetheart." His voice was steady, but his eyes, those tired blue eyes, carried years of quiet dignity. What no one in that diner knew was that their son, a man named Ryan Cole, was a decorated Navy SEAL, just returning home after 6 years of overseas missions. He'd fought battles no one could imagine, but none had ever felt as personal as what he was about to witness that very day. Ryan had been away too long. 6 years of service, countless missions, and 1,000 sleepless nights had turned him into a man of iron discipline, but his heart still softened at the thought of his parents. Every letter from his mother was neatly folded in his bag. Every photo of his father fixing that old pickup truck still brought him a quiet smile. When his commanding officer granted him a 2-week leave, he didn't tell anyone. He wanted to surprise them. No phone call, no warning, just the joy of walking into their small-town diner and seeing their faces light up. That diner had been his childhood place, the smell of pancakes and old coffee cups, his mom's laughter echoing off the walls. He parked his black truck across the street, tugged his cap low, and crossed toward the window. That's when he saw it, the Coke bottle flying, the splash, the laughter. Time slowed. Ryan froze for a second. His heartbeat thundered in his chest, not with fear, but with disbelief. His mother, shaking. His father, standing tall but humiliated. And those kids, laughing like cruelty was a sport. He opened the door. The bell above it chimed, cutting through the noise. Everyone turned. He looked like an ordinary man, simple jeans, black t-shirt, short hair. But his eyes, they were cold steel. "Which one of you did that?" His voice was calm, low, and deadly quiet. The teenagers exchanged glances. One of them, a tall kid with messy hair and a cheap leather jacket, smirked. "Just a joke, man. Chill out." Ryan's jaw flexed. He stepped closer. "You think humiliating an old couple is a joke? It's soda, not acid," the kid sneered. His friends snorted, but their laughter faltered when Ryan's shadow fell over them. He reached into his pocket, not for a weapon, but for his military ID. He placed it flat on their table. "You see this?" His voice dropped lower. "I fight so people like you can live free. So you can sit here and act tough. But this," he pointed toward his parents, who were standing silently near the window, "this is weakness. This is shame." The diner was dead silent now. Even the waitress had stopped mid-step, holding a coffee pot in her hand. Ryan leaned down, his voice calm but cutting. "You want to laugh? Try laughing while you clean that mess." No one moved, so he picked up a napkin, dropped it on the table, and said quietly, "Now." Something in his tone, something deeper than anger, broke through their arrogance. The first kid bent down slowly, wiping the floor where the soda had spilled. His friends followed, their faces red, their laughter gone. Ryan didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. The weight of his presence said everything. When the mess was clean, he turned back to his parents. His mother's eyes widened as she finally recognized him. "Ryan," she whispered. He smiled then, just a small, trembling smile. "Hi, Mom." Her hands flew to her mouth as tears filled her eyes. His father's voice cracked, "Son, you're home." Ryan stepped forward and wrapped them both in his arms. "I'm home, Dad. I'm home." The entire diner watched as the old couple clung to their son, the one who had been gone for years, the one who had just witnessed their humiliation and turned it into a moment of pride. One of the teenagers, a girl who had been silent the whole time, spoke up, her voice breaking. We're sorry, sir. We didn't know." Ryan looked at her. You didn't need to know. You just needed to be kind. Later, as the afternoon sun dipped lower, the three of them sat at their old corner booth. Ryan ordered his dad's favorite, cherry pie, and made sure his mom's coffee cup stayed full. The laughter from earlier had been replaced by a respectful hush. The waitress, an older woman with kind eyes, came over quietly. "It's on the house," she said softly. "For your service, and for teaching this town a little respect." Ryan nodded with gratitude. "Thank you, ma'am." Outside, the teenagers waited awkwardly by the door. One of them, the same boy who had thrown the Coke, stepped forward. He looked terrified. "Sir, I really didn't mean to." Ryan didn't let him finish. "Yes, you did. You meant to humiliate someone. But now you get a chance to fix it." He pulled a folded bill from his wallet and handed it over. "There's a shelter downtown. Buy 5 meals for the homeless. Then come back and tell me you did it. That's how you make it right." The boy nodded, eyes wet. "Yes, sir." Ryan clapped him on the shoulder, firm but not unkind. "We all mess up. What matters is what you do after." That night, the small town diner buzzed with whispers of what had happened. Some said it was like something out of a movie. Others said they'd never seen anyone stand up for dignity so quietly, so powerfully. But for Ryan, it wasn't about pride. It was about love, the kind that never fades, no matter how far you go or how many battles you fight. As they drove home, his mother held his hand in the backseat, her voice trembling. "We didn't know when you'd be back. We prayed every night." "I know, Mom," he said softly. "I heard every prayer." His father smiled through the mirror. "You've always been our hero, son." Ryan looked out the window at the fading sunset. "Not today, Dad. Today, you were. A week later, the story hit local news. A few people had recorded parts of it on their phones, the soda, the silence, the moment Ryan stepped in. But the video that went viral wasn't about violence or revenge. It was about what came after. It showed Ryan shaking hands with the same boy who'd humiliated his parents, after the teen returned from the homeless shelter with photos of the meals he'd delivered. Underneath the video, someone had written, "This is what strength looks like. Not fists, not fury, just grace." The clip spread across social media like wildfire. Veterans shared it, parents reposted it, strangers commented things like, "This gave me hope," and, "This is what America needs." Ryan didn't read the comments. He wasn't looking for fame. He was sitting on the porch with his father, 2 mugs of coffee between them, listening to crickets. In the soft hum of evening, his dad finally spoke. "You could have hit those kids. No one would have blamed you." Ryan smiled faintly. "I've hit enough people in my life, Dad. This time, I wanted to teach them something." His father nodded slowly. "You did. You taught all of us." The next day, Ryan drove to the diner again. When he walked in, the same waitress greeted him with a smile. The teenagers were there, sitting quietly at a booth, waiting for him. "Mr. Cole," the tall boy said, standing up. "We raised money for the shelter. And, we're volunteering next week." Ryan looked at each of them, really looked, and saw something he hadn't expected: sincerity. "Growth. Redemption. That's good," he said simply. "Keep doing that. The world doesn't change with anger, it changes when people learn to care." Before leaving, one of the teens handed him a small envelope. Inside was a hand-drawn card, a simple sketch of an old couple and their son, smiling together. Underneath it, a line written in shaky handwriting. "We're sorry. Thank you for showing us what real strength is." Ryan blinked back tears. He didn't say anything, just smiled and nodded before walking out into the sunlight. Sometimes, the strongest battles aren't fought on foreign soil. They happen in ordinary places, inside diners, on sidewalks, in the quiet moments when someone chooses compassion over pride. Ryan Cole, Navy SEAL, didn't become a hero that day because he was trained to fight. He became one because he remembered what his parents had always taught him, that dignity doesn't come from power, it comes from kindness. And though the world would soon forget the details, that little diner never did. The next time an elderly couple walked through the door, every person stood to greet them. The same kids who once laughed now rushed to hold the door open. Because sometimes, one act of grace is all it takes to remind a town, maybe even a nation, that humanity is still alive.